Hi friends, what I want to show you now is a video that was released yesterday by Tracy O'Mahony, a barrister, about the immigration pact that the government rushed through. Without even asking the Irish people, they went ahead and they rushed this through, which means that we no longer have control of our borders. Now, with what went on in the White House when Conor McGregor let the cat out of the bag and basically told the world that we're being swamped by mass illegal and legal immigration, the government are now trying to force through the affirmation of this policy where we can no longer get out of it. We have until 2026 to decide whether we want to stick to it or we want to get out of it. But because Conor McGregor has let the cat out of the bag, the people that you elected are trying to force this through. So Ireland is basically never going to be able to reverse the disastrous decision that the Irish government made for the likes of Healy-Raes and his €800,000 profit increase from last year. And that's basically from closing down his hotels and his apartments and filling them full of illegal immigrants and basically anything that's coming in here. So this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, my friends. Please subscribe to Tracy O'Mahony. I'm just going to give you a snippet of the few bits she said, and then I would ask you to go on YouTube, subscribe to her, number one, and number two, have really good listen to this, because what's basically coming our way is a population replacement, and there's no other way to explain it. And the people who are going to make the money from it are all of the government people, the landlords and the people with money who are buying up hotels and turning them into iPass centres. It's basically a population replacement. And yous are all sitting back and saying, oh, well, what can we do? There's plenty we can do. Okay? We're not outnumbered yet, but it's coming soon, my friends. It's coming soon. Please, please, please wake up.
On the screen, you can see an extract taken right now from the European Commission website, which confirms that there is no EU obligation for Ireland to take in refugees, as it has an opt-in or an opt-out clause on individual proposals in the areas of freedom, security and justice through the EU Treaty of Lisbon. The Irish government has decided to opt into the Pact on Migration and Asylum. On the 26th of June 2024, members of the 33rd Dáil voted to opt Ireland into the EU Migration Pact, with 79 TDs voting in favour and 72 TDs voting against the Pact. You may also recall that 151 out of 159 TDs entitled to vote on the Pact showed up to cast their vote, whereas less than 10 TDs showed up to debate the Pact, again illustrating the contempt Irish politicians have for the Irish people and the sovereignty of this country. The crux is that the EU Migration Pact represents a dangerous erosion of sovereignty, such that Ireland's migration policy and decision-making will be ceded to the EU, and in particular the fact that we will be locked into a system whereby the EU can legally dictate the number of migrants Ireland must accept every single year or become subject to massive fines. So the last report we have from Benefax is in 2021, which confirmed that Irish governments were funding NGOs to the tune of €6.2 billion annually. So the term NGO is not only misleading but deceptive, given that a majority of the influential NGOs operating in Ireland are actually government-funded organisations. Secondly, the main body that should have been consulted on the EU Migration Pact is the Irish people. But not only were the Irish people ignored, anyone who questioned the government's intention to opt into the pact was cancelled, ridiculed and labelled a racist. The plan also confirms that the government cannot predict the number of persons that will enter Ireland under the pact, so they are preparing for up to 24,000 people to arrive on an annual basis. Firstly, the government acknowledged that we could see 24,000 people arrive on an annual basis, whereas the costings that they have published are for between 14,000 and 15,000 arrivals. Finally, under the plan, the government confirmed that they intend to submit the general scheme of the new legislation for ministerial and government approval sometime in April 2025, while stating that the bill itself should be drafted and published by the end of 2025 and enacted and operational by June 2026. However, given what I stated earlier in relation to Conor McGregor's potential run for the presidency, they may try to accelerate this process. As I have stated over the past couple of years, the implications of Ireland signing up to the EU Migration Pact cannot be overstated, in that the erosion of sovereignty and the ceding of power and control to the EU around Ireland's immigration policy may be irreversible. A country who has no control over who it allows or refuses into its country cannot claim to be sovereign. I will continue to keep you updated as any new information is published, and thanks for listening.